Hello, I'm Christopher Greaves, an Australian lawyer and a PhD candidate at Deakin University in Victoria, Australia. My goal for this presentation is to introduce and open up for discussion some literature and ideas around the notion of an Australian scholarship of teaching in practical legal training, which, in my opinion, is further developed in overseas jurisdictions. Given the increasing globalisation of legal professional practice, I submit that a genuine scholarship of teaching in PLT is a necessary part of ensuring the value and quality of an Australian legal professional qualification in a globalised profession. I will introduce some framing concepts and then identify some historical issues arising in connection with a scholarship of teaching. I will identify one or two possible methodologies for the pursuit of a scholarship of teaching in PLT with reference to social media and other resources, and issues of validity and performativity. When I speak of a scholarship of teaching in PLT, I do not necessarily confine scholarship to formal scholarship leading to publication in peer-reviewed journals, although that is an important method for the external scrutiny and review of scholarly work. In my opinion, scholarship today may be expressed through writing or exegesis and through most forms of expression. I agree with Boyer and Glassick that for work to qualify as scholarship, there should be clear goals, adequate preparation, appropriate methods, significant results, effective presentation, and reflective critique, and involve analysis, criticism, synthesis, and comparison. A scholarship of teaching, according to Boyer, requires teachers to be well informed in their field, engaged in a dynamic endeavour between the teacher's understanding and the student's learning, and planning and design of pedagogical procedures, creativity, innovation, transforming and extending and providing continuity of knowledge, or as Healy expresses it, teaching is to make learning possible. Scholarship of teaching is to make transparent how learning is made possible, including learning goals, teaching methods, assessment of learning, and the evaluation of teaching. A scholarship of teaching can involve all forms of scholarship enumerated by Boyer: discovery research into the nature of learning and teaching, integration of material from several disciplines to understand what is going on in the classroom, application of what is known about how students learn to the learning and teaching process, and teaching and not only transmitting knowledge, but transforming and extending it as well. The scholarship of teaching can involve face-to-face and blended programs, academic, skills-based, practice-oriented and experiential skills. It can be interdisciplinary work drawing on the research and scholarship of education, sociology, psychology, anthropology and the natural sciences. In my opinion, there is a paucity of Australian research and scholarship of teaching and learning in PLT. The development of research and scholarship in PLT seems to be further advanced in jurisdictions comparable to Australia, such as the UK, Canada and the USA. This might have substantial implications for the perceived quality of the Australian Graduate Diploma of Legal Practice accreditation nationally and within the context of a globalised profession. An Australian journal, the Journal for Professional Legal Education, published from 1983 to 1988, appears to be defunct A full text search of the Australian Legal Education Review from 1994 to 2011 produces few hits on the terms practical legal training or PLT. The Journal of the Australian Law Teachers Association commenced publication in 2008. Perusal of the issues published from 2008 to 2011 inclusive discloses one article specifically dealing with practical legal training. Overseas, however, the International Journal of Clinical Legal Education, published by the University of Northumbria in Newcastle, United Kingdom, the Law Teacher, published by the UK-based Association of Law Teachers, and the USA-based Clinical Law Review, a journal of lawyering and legal education, sponsored by the Clinical Legal Education Association. Others are specifically dedicated to areas that overlap with PLT. While one view holds that good teaching that draws on teachers' professional skills and knowledge and based on pedagogical principles has been successfully propagated in Australian law schools, academic legal education is usually treated as conceptually separate from the vocational lawyering skills taught in practical legal training. The teaching of lawyering skills has been identified as challenging work that requires additional teaching skills and commitment. It's not yet clear from the literature whether legal practitioners involved as teaching practitioners in practical legal training are caught by the successful propagation of pedagogical principles, if that has in fact occurred, or have embraced or had the opportunity to embrace or are in fact disengaged from educational theory and practices that are relevant to teaching lawyering skills in Australian practical legal training. Educational theories and practices may have consequences beyond measures of successful achievement of learning outcomes. Certain attributes of legal education and legal practice have been linked to rates of mental health issues reported by law students and legal practitioners that are significantly higher than any other profession in recent Australian and international research. Seligman and others observed that Socratic teaching methods used as the primary pedagogy in legal education emphasises adversarial thinking in zero-sum situations, in contrast to collaborative approaches taken in other disciplines, and that this contributes to inherent pessimism amongst law students and lawyers. Recently, Mahag and Morn have argued against the dominance of the Socratic tradition and for new engagement with the effective domain of teaching and learning in law. Research concerning the scholarship of teaching in practical legal training could uncover information concerning the current state of Australian scholarship of teaching in PLT and how that might compare to a scholarship of teaching in legal education and the policies and practices that shape the scholarship of teaching in PLT. Such research could also investigate the forms in which a scholarship of teaching and learning appear and, from the teacher's perspective, what influences their engagement with such a scholarship.